I'm Riley Evan Ross. For most of us, our career trajectories are not clearly defined. You might be hit with opportunities, setbacks, threats, new people, and maybe these fortuitous bifurcations in the road upon which you travel. Sometimes the opportunities are complete deviations from the path you were on, and sometimes they leverage your past experiences to build something new. In the case of Daniela Busciglio, she had an opportunity to pursue a career as a political messaging consultant based on her previous life as a professor and researcher. And she seems to now have that thing that many of us long for, a cause.
Yeah, so I think that I have a social responsibility to be able to translate research and use it in my work as it applies to messaging and branding and all of that. I ended up leaving OU on my own accord because I realized that the research that I was doing, I wanted to have an impact in a way that my research just couldn't.
This is Y'all Okay. Howdy, friends and neighbors. Welcome to Y'all Okay, the podcast about Oklahoma and the people connected to it. I got mixed feelings about this episode. I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited about the guest. Hell, you might already know her. And if you don't, I'm really excited to introduce her to you. The feelings get mixed in that Daniela Busciglio is no longer in Oklahoma. She moved back to her native New Jersey shortly after finishing up her work with the Mark Miles for Attorney General campaign. And Daniela's great. She's great. She's high energy and open and warm, and I'm happy to have gotten to know her just a little bit before she left. I think the work that she's doing is extremely important, and the timing of it is great on so many levels. One, she is taught at both OU and Alabama, and as you might know, OU just announced to be playing Alabama in the first round of the college playoffs. And you can actually just listen to the episode to hear her take about her experiences in both places. Two, the second reason, she's from New Jersey. And this is actually our second Jersey connection of the season. The first being Meredith Van Sant in the first episode of the season. And why is New Jersey significant? I can't really put my finger on it, but I feel like New Jersey is, in its own way, very similar to Oklahoma. Like, if you think about it comparatively, New Jersey is to New York what Oklahoma is to Texas in many ways. It's typically undervalued and overshadowed by its larger, more boisterous neighbor. I don't know much about New Jersey. I've only been there once, and it was for work, so I haven't done like a real deep dive or anything. But most of what I know about Jersey is from people from there, like Chris Gethard, who you should definitely check out. I don't know why I mentioned Chris Gethard, but you should check him out if you haven't. And I guess the third reason is her episode falls immediately after my David Holt episode. And the significance of this is Daniela is unabashedly on the progressive liberal end of the political spectrum, while Holt skews more conservative, but could be considered perhaps a progressive Republican, which does exist, historically anyway, exists, although they are more rare. Although I would probably not agree with all the things that either one of them believe, I feel that they both do very important work. And I truly believe that we are all driven by this belief that we've got more commonalities than differences, and that we're all in this together, which you'll definitely hear in this episode. But before we get into this conversation, I know I've told you about Roast Scout, but I'm going to tell you again. For our new listeners in New Jersey, and right here in Oklahoma, and everywhere else, listen up. The holidays are here, and the perfect gift for that coffee lover in your life is a subscription to Roast Scout. This crew will send you one 12-ounce bag of premium small batch coffee beans per month. I know this term is used way too much, but this coffee is curated for your premium palate, folks. I've been getting it for 2 months now, and it's been perfect. The November dispatch was from Bhavana Coffee out of Denver. I hope I'm saying that right. And Bhavana sources their coffee from Nepal with a special emphasis on empowering women, which is so fitting for this episode with Daniela. It was absolutely delicious, and you can get a good deal if you go to roastscout.com/yallokpodcast and sign up. You can support small roasters, support Nepalese women entrepreneurs, and support my caffeine habit all at the same time by going to roastscout.com/yallokpodcast to sign up. So without any further messing around, please bring your open mind into this fun interview with Daniela Busciglio. I think I said it right up to this point, and then I blew it on the final introduction. Daniela.
Yes.
Because at first I was saying, Danielle, which I'm sure you've probably grown up with a little bit, but
so much.
Yeah.
Still.
Busciglio.
Oh my God. How did you get that?
Well, I heard you. So for those that don't know, there's for the not friends of the show, but friends in real life, the guys from the Let's Fix This pod had you on. And so you went through the
for like 10 minutes talking about
it was probably a bit too much.
Yes, it was.
Come on, guys, just get a hold of it.
So I go to places and they're like the bank, I actually go to the bank in person sometimes, and they're like, "Oh, hello, Ms. How do you say it?" And I'm like on the go. I'm like, "I'm good, thank you so much. It's B, bye."
Busciglia.
Every time.
Berbiglia. Yeah.
Verbena, yeah, something like that.
Oh wow!
I'm like, great, got it, done.
Yeah. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You grew up in New Jersey.
I did.
What town?
Specifically, Garfield, New Jersey, which is in Bergen County. So that is on the New York side of New Jersey, because there's the Philly side and yeah.
Right. So it's north and south, right?
Yeah. You need a passport to get into South Jersey.
Okay.
It's not immediately allowed.
I was talking about this with Meredith, and I was trying to bring it up because I've been to New Jersey once, flew into Newark, and then had to drive down, and I couldn't remember the name of the town, so I couldn't connect with her, And I was like, it's close to the shore.
Yes.
Town called Eatontown. Do you know Eatontown?
There's so many jokes.
Or Eatonton.
Yes. I've always called it Eatontown, and I've never been there. But there's so many jokes about Cherry Hill and Eatontown, and that you hear about as kids and stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I was there for I actually can't say why I was there.
Oh,
it involved work. It was really lame secrecy. But
all right.
It's fine. Yeah,
but Jersey Shore is cool, but that's not quite Jersey Shore. So
okay. I mean, I was there in February, so
oof. Yeah, no, that's pretty harsh. February's the worst. It's like not much going on.
Yeah,
everything's frozen. There's no holidays.
Really gray.
Yeah,
and here's what I remember. I remember
the Turnpike.
The Turnpike, spending a lot of my short-term per diem on the Turnpike, but it got reimbursed.
Wait, fun fact about the Turnpike. Did you know that part of the reason why people are always complaining about the Turnpike, it smells so bad? Do you know why it smells bad?
No.
Because this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There are flavor factories on the Turnpike.
Really?
Yes, and I learned this, way back. I was reading Fast Food Nation or something before they made it into a movie.
Yeah.
I've been vegetarian for 20 years now. But anyway, and that was part of the reason why. Cool. And so a lot of these companies that make processed food literally inject the foods with flavor.
Right. So chicken nuggets have beef flavoring and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Even French fries will have French fry flavor because potatoes aren't enough. So sorry, potatoes. It's so sad.
It's potatoes, oil, and salt.
It's so easy.
Should be enough.
It should be enough. Potatoes, you are enough. No.
We support you, potatoes, just the way you are. Yeah.
So that's
gross.
totally gross, dude.
Yeah. And I think, do you ever have to drive to Tulsa? Like, do you have to get on the turnpike here for any reason?
You know, I've been to Tulsa maybe once or twice. Not too much, but it's like nothing in comparison. Like, I think that's a nice drive.
It's so nice.
It's so verdant.
Yeah, and it costs $4.
Also, my last name.
Yeah. It costs $4 to get there and $4 back, but like, yeah, it's so nice. I mean, that's not much money at all. $8 to Tulsa and back, whereas like to get from one town to the next in Jersey, it's
you're from
16.
It's true. Just to get into New York City, I think cars are $13 now. Yeah, I mean the bus is $4.50 one way, and I love that I'm from a bedroom community basically of New York, but it's so expensive. My parents' property taxes are like low key $20K.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy expensive.
I know. But we do have number 1 or 2 or 3 education system in the country. So that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, I always found that I'm always surprised by like the ones that place top in education. So like for whatever reason.
No one expects New Jersey.
No one expects New Jersey. No one expects Iowa, but Iowa's been at the top. Minnesota, you kind of expect.
Well, their governor is kicking ass and taking names.
Who, Minnesota?
Yes. Wait, am I allowed to curse on this show?
You can cuss, yeah. Fuck. Yeah. You're fine. It's cool.
Well, she is.
The mayor didn't, but you can. It's completely fine. I tried. I goaded him.
Oh, you tried to get him to curse.
No. He didn't fall for it.
Damn, we'll try harder next time.
He's a real professional, that guy.
Unlike us.
Yeah, unlike us schmucks. Yeah, so tell me the route to Oklahoma.
How did I get here?
Yeah, how did you get here?
Yeah, people are like, what are you doing in Oklahoma? I'm like, I don't know. So actually, I came here in August 2015. I had just defended my PhD, and I had a position lined up at the University of Oklahoma. Uh-huh. So that's what got me here.
And so your PhD was from Alabama? Is that right?
No, actually from University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Oh, okay.
While I was dissertating, I spent a year teaching at the University of Alabama.
Wow.
Oof.
So you were concurrently a student at UW-Madison and then teaching at Alabama.
Full time.
So those are like two different worlds, because for those that don't know, Madison is like a very hip, liberal place. I've never been to Madison.
Oh, you got to go. Madison is really amazing. Yeah. And in terms of like smaller cities, very fit. I'm talking like I had colleagues. I worked at the graduate school. I ran the Twitter feed. This is part of my job for the entire graduate school.
Really?
Yeah, I had fun with that, as you can imagine. And I had colleagues who it would be -30, and they would bike 14 miles one way to come to work every day. And it's just, and they have the biggest farmers market in the country.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's not year round because, vegetables don't grow year round there.
Potatoes.
There we go. The ultimate source of nutrition.
Yeah.
Rounds.
Bringing it back around.
Yes. So I was still a student and working full time at the University of Alabama.
That's super. Did you enjoy that?
Oh my God, no! It was the worst.
Oh man. No diplomacy at all.
No, none.
Gotcha.
I can't even. Okay, but the people that I met there, the people who were my former colleagues,
right.
The best. I still miss them.
They're probably not still there.
But here's the deal. They're still there. Because they had tenure track positions. I was just an instructor.
Oh, gotcha.
But here's the deal with Bama. Two things. So when I was there was literally one coffee shop in town. It was a Starbucks inside the Barnes & Noble in town. I was like, I'm not going to Starbucks.
This was 2015.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
2014.
Not that long ago.
I know. And then two, so I think like they're trying to really, really hard to get R1 status. Mm-hmm. So OU is an R1, so the highest research, it's a Carnegie Mellon designation as a high research university. And so my colleague, they were recruiting hard for like the youngest, best scholars around from like Stanford and Princeton, all this stuff. But we were all there with nothing to do. So we were life rafting it together. And we just always, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. Things are different now, but we would just be rotating, like having house parties all the time.
Wow.
That was rad.
Okay.
It took me 3 years to like find my group here, my friend group, and like have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was special.
Yeah, that is pretty
So
special.
go live in the middle of nowhere and see what happens. You know?
Yeah, you kind of do it. Have you ever heard of Alva, Oklahoma?
I have. I've
The
met a
northwestern
couple
part of
people
the state?
from Alva.
Northwestern Oklahoma State?
Yes, one of my neighbors, Sarah, lives is from Alva. She's
really?
here though.
Okay.
She's awesome.
So that's
Hi, Sarah.
That was
I'm gonna
kind
make
of
her listen
our
to this.
shout out to Sarah from Alva. That's where I went my freshman year. But yeah, that's what you do. You're in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
the closest metropolis is Enid.
Oof.
And so
Metropolis.
Right,
That's like
thank you. And you just got to do whatever you got to do. So house parties or
get pregnant.
yep.
That's well, you
It's
can't
fun in the moment,
yet.
But yeah,
Or hood surf. Did you do that?
hood surf. I'm gonna have to Google that.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
there's no googling needed. Just hop on the hood of a car and go surfing.
Oh, like that, like Teen Wolf, but
Exactly.
okay, cool.
I heard that was a thing in rural places in the country,
I don't know.
in the world.
I grew up in the burbs, so that wasn't really my thing.
Where-
I was like in South Oklahoma City.
Okay.
You know where Westmore is?
No.
So it's like a south.
People are like, hey, I live in Moore, or like, I live in Edmond. I'm like, where's that?
Yeah, exactly. So if there's no reason to go, we're here in the heart of Oklahoma City. But yeah, so it's down at like Southwest 119th and Western.
Got it.
So way down there, way south Oklahoma.
You were not
City.
hood surfing.
Yeah,
no.
no, and I was a bit of a holy roller too back then. So that wouldn't have like really.
Interesting.
Yeah. We're not here to talk. Don't interview me. Don't
I
tell me
always
about
do
me.
this.
What was your particular area of academic focus, and what was your dissertation about?
Oh no, God! I don't want to talk about my dissertation. That's so boring.
Is
no,
it?
it's fine. I mean, it was on project-based learning and second language acquisition.
Okay.
But that's so on my actual PhD, it says can't even say it, curriculum and instruction. Call that New Jersey vocal coach for me, will ya? And but my position at OU was a split position. I ran the Italian program. I taught courses like Italian cinema and literature, and the other half of my position was in applied linguistics. So I taught courses like second language acquisition theory, principles and techniques of teaching foreign languages. Graduate undergrad. I taught sociolinguistics for another university. Yeah.
I'm intrigued by this aspect. I had a writer friend of me. Adam.
You're a friend of me too.
Oh my gosh, Adam recommended. He reads books just like a voracious reader, and he read John McWhorter's Talking Back, Talking Black, and then suggested to me Our Magnificent Bastard Tongue.
Oh, I don't know this book.
Oh, it's so good.
Really?
And it's basically like he looks at the different theories of how modern English came to be, and then he, in a way, I believe, constructs his own and says. Basically makes the case that it's a lot more Germanic and than a lot of people want to give it credit for being because of
World War II.
Well,
wait, okay, hold on.
John McWhorter doesn't necessarily make that point, but because of the battles that happened in England and how English
imperialism
developed, and he carries that forward in Talking Back, Talking Black by basically saying he's not necessarily afraid of what Ebonics is doing to the American language because this is what languages do.
Yes.
They
Also, does he call it Ebonics in his book? Because we refer to it as African American vernacular.
I haven't read Talking Back, Talking Black yet.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
But
yeah.
In Our Magnificent Bastard Tongue, I believe he sort of alludes to that I think he tries to, because his audience is like people like me that aren't linguists, but are just kind of like interested in it.
Sure.
And so, he, it's it's a lot of etymology, but it's also just like a lot of history and also common, letting people know that like this is what languages do. It's just normal.
Yeah.
So if we
languages evolve because we evolve every single day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something that always blows my mind that I always make sure to tell my students is in all of my class, whether like language or applied linguistics, basically, maybe not so much literature or cinema, but is something that my linguistics professor had told me many, many moons ago, which is we never know the ultimate why. And it was like this super profound philosophical statement. And he was, obviously referring to linguistics. And to me, it's really kind of psychedelic because language is all around us. We use it all the time. It is at the core of the human experience. Yeah. And yet we actually don't know why things evolve. So sounds evolve the way they do. The meanings of certain words evolve the way they do. Mm-hmm. It's kind of wild. I mean, in terms of semiotics and different sorts of and semantics, we do have an idea because of the events that surround words. But in terms of like sounds and stuff, it's totally fascinating. You want to do a quick linguistic test?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this is how you identify how people are from the cluster of states just around New Jersey. So New Jersey, New York, but not the whole entire state, just like the southern part of the state, Connecticut, Delaware, and maybe some parts of Maryland. So how do you say Christmas? What's the word before that?
Mary.
Okay. What's the lady's name? Mary.
Mary.
How do you say, will you me?
Mary. But I know what you're going here.
Yeah?
Marry.
Yes. So people from that area, you can ask me those. And so it's, will you marry me, Mary, and Merry Christmas. Yeah. So we don't know why the idea is because of the influx of all these different types of ethnicities and peoples that ended up coming to those areas over, that's some of the most diverse areas in the country. So absolutely. That had to have some type of effect. Did you ever see Fred Armisen's
on Conan, where he's doing like the impressions of the different dialects across the United States?
Oh, I haven't seen that one, but I was actually just going to talk about the one where he does the different New York City accents.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It is so mind-blowing. He goes like Flushing and Jamaica really and Long Island and like Bushwick and Flatbush and it is so amazing. Wow. He's so talented. Yeah. Does he have awards? He needs awards.
I'm sure he does.
Linguistic awards even.
Yeah, something. I'm pretty sure. Let's just assume he does.
Fred Armisen, we're going to give you an award on this show. It's the Y'all Okay Award.
Yeah, if you just come on down.
You're so great.
Wherever you are, come on down, and I'll find something to give you.
Maybe he'll do a bunch of... It's like, is there more than one Okie accent? Can you be like, haha, you're from Tulsa, I don't
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we have food, but in terms of words,
I thought it was a barren wasteland. You guys have food. I'm so glad.
Yeah, as a vegetarian, I've got bad news for you.
I don't know that.
It's very limited. Did you go to Veg Fest?
Okay, yes, it was amazing.
It was cool.
Yes, they gave away so much free stuff. It was just, people gave me CBD oil. We were high. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. It was very relaxed the rest of the day. Yeah, it was amazing.
Muscles felt great.
Yes.
Yeah, we went in the afternoon. It was pretty cool.
You and the wifey?
Yeah, and we took the kids too because we want them to have big palates. And I've experimented a little bit with like veganism and vegetarianism. So I eat a ton of vegetables.
It's good.
And then
you hear that, Mom?
That's right. It worked. And then
so tall.
But yeah, so I like the Netflix documentaries. That's.
I don't watch those. People are always like, have you watched Vegucated? Right. I don't know why. It sounds like Jerry Seinfeld asked me that. But
very good
or like, impression. What the hell? I watch a lot of Seinfeld. It makes me feel like I'm home. Or like, what the health?
Right.
But I as like a researcher, I don't trust those documentaries because they're cherry picking information.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they are to a degree. So one of them does present heavily and lean heavily on some actual statistical research, but in the way that it's presented, like it's not necessarily a research-focused film. They just point to it. So I think the top one is like Forks Over Knives is what people point to for veganism and stuff. But that's a different...
And even statistical research. I mean, like heavy quantitative research like that is like, no, we need a lot more qualitative and contextually based research, not like sweeping statistical analysis of like, I don't know. It's just more complicated.
Talk to me about that, because I place a lot of value on
science,
spreadsheets, and statistical, what is and is not statistically significant. And if it's not statistically significant, then it's a good story, but I don't know if I give credence to it. But I'm open to hearing more qualitative things, because I'm not a mathematician either. So
me neither. Yeah, that's why I do language. I don't do math. I think that when it comes to the social sciences, for instance, so I'm an applied linguist and I was trained as an ethnographer. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of research in terms of beliefs and perceptions about students learning and compared to what they actually learned over time, for instance. But I had to talk to them a lot, and even in terms of how their beliefs affected or their perceptions of learning affected their learning at the end of a couple of months or semester or whatever. Mm-hmm. In terms of food habits, we know so much more about how complicated and how many different factors actually affect our well-being, and that food is one component of it.
Okay.
So if you are the healthiest person, and let's just say, obviously being vegan does not equal being healthy. You can eat vegan junk food all day.
Absolutely.
Like maybe Cheetos are vegan?
Oreos for sure are, because they use aquafaba for the cream.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Mm-hmm. For the listeners out there,
Which
aquafaba is chickpea water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That is a great ingredient, by the way, that you can basically replace egg whites with aquafaba.
Yeah.
Fun times. So, okay, what was I talking about?
We're talking about qualitative.
Yes. So what if, so that might help alleviate, for example, you kept a really healthy diet and may alleviate, for example, I don't know, neuroinflammation. If you're not eating a whole lot of carbs, maybe you read the book or heard the book of Against All Grains.
Right.
With Daniel, what was it? Something with a P, I feel like. Perlmutter is his name. Ah. And he talks about the effects of carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates, and how it affects literally our brains and inflames various parts of our bodies. But what if you are, you have some sort of mental illness that is, you have some kind of chemical imbalance, if you eat really well, you can still be a very sick person. And we know how much mental health can have physical effects on your body.
Sure.
And I can't tell you how many times that I've stressed out about situations, and I ended up in the hospital after a breakup. My heart was broken, and I was so sick. I went to various doctors with very stiff necks, stiff joints, headache for 10 days, and back pain. And after the second or third doctor, the guy was like, there's a hospital across the street. You need to go there now. Because you probably have viral meningitis. And the good news is it's not bacterial, because you would have been dead already.
Yeah.
And that was because I was so heartbroken and so sad. I was inconsolable. But fuck that guy. I don't give a shit anymore. It's awesome that I'm not with him anymore. But how do we take into account so many different factors with regard to our health and making the best choices for us? Because what I do for my life and my #self-care looks way different than what you do for your own best practices in the life of Riley.
Right.
And so we need to really talk to people what that looks like. And culturally speaking too, this looks a lot different. Mm-hmm. Even in terms of, you can cut this across, very intersectionally across class, gender, ethnicities, race, all this stuff. And you'll find that something that's therapeutic, I don't know, might be going to church. That is not therapeutic for me. But you'll see over time, you might see health benefits,
right.
Sure. Because you are experiencing, your own version of Zen.
Right.
Right? So we need more of these comprehensive longitudinal studies like the I think his name was Valence or something. He did that really long, like freaking 60-year happiness study that got published in the Atlantic several years ago.
Oh.
No, JFK is in there. Like his files got released recently, I believe.
I have no idea about this.
Yeah, it was all these white guys at Harvard, I think.
Sure, probably.
Yeah. But it's really important. And they had these people fill out these surveys periodically over the course of their lives, and like, what does it mean to be happy, and what like accounts for happiness. And so the people they predicted to be like have success or be happy ended up like committing suicide and drinking themselves to death and stuff like that. And it's really hard to pin down, but I totally suggest that you read that article. It's absolutely fascinating.
I'll check that out.
But it takes money. How are you going to do that? How are you going to follow someone around for 70 years?
Exactly. Especially in like the modern institutional structure. So you were just mentioning Alabama that was trying to get like these researchers around. Like that's a long-term study that you'd have to, the endowment and the desire to keep that going.
Yeah. Like how do you isolate? You can't isolate one specific thing like, an avocado a day or whatever is going to make you healthier. Like, not if you're constantly like totally neurotic and freaking out about this, that, and the other thing and have a high stress lifestyle, or you're doing something that makes you unhappy. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it is just simply, while I completely respect and understand these various methodologies that researchers undertake in their over the course of their entire lives, it is also very humbling because, what I like to, this is my like analogy for it. When you go to the arcade and you see that damn the quarter machine where it's like the thing is pushing you're like, someday.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know that one.
But I feel like that's a good analogy, metaphor, whatever, for how research works. And we're all pushing together that whole thing, a quarter, that whole pile of quarters,
right?
With the intent of like finding out a lot of information or whatever to get to these bigger breakthroughs,
right?
And this is not just only in research, but in a lot of different fields. I mean, even what I am able to do today as a woman in this country is like because of the other women that did it before me.
Standing on the shoulders of
precisely. Yeah, exactly. So it's difficult, but I think it's always a good reminder of how humbling everything is, and including our own human bodies.
I think that's a good perspective in terms of like, one, trying to maintain gratitude, but also, humility is definitely a part of that, but also just this idea of building upon the work that's already been done ahead of you as well. Is that something that you try to bring in to your clients at all, or do you feel like they already have it?
Good pivot. Yeah, absolutely. So I officially resigned from OU back in January. I taught the spring semester. I taught a summer graduate course. Okay. And so this is basically the 6 weeks.
This is it? This is the first semester?
This is the first semester that I am not in higher education. I've been in higher education for 12 years. Wow. Yeah. So it's a really big, difference. And I'm like, really? I'm 36. I'm in act 2 of my life. Like things are happening really fast, I feel like. Yeah. So I think that I have a social responsibility to be able to translate research and use it in my work as it applies to messaging and branding and all of that. And that is an important part of what I do. And for one, who has time to read research? 2, who has access to research? Right. And one of the things that's most frustrating to me, that's like, what really grinds my gears is like the cartel of publishing in academia and the system of journals, and how much it costs, and it's not right. Right. These libraries pay millions of dollars for these subscriptions to databases that contain these journals. Yeah. So for people who don't have access to these databases. So if you're not a student, you're not a professor, staff at a university. Right. If I were to go and get one article, it probably cost me $35 or $40 an article.
Wait, from like EBSCO
Yes,
or
yes.
JSTOR?
Exactly. Yeah, or Wiley or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
A lot of people don't know, like, public libraries, like the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Library, does have access to some of those databases.
Right. But they have, like, no money. So, like, the whole...
They do the best they can.
They do the best they can, and libraries are the rock stars. They're the superheroes of the freaking planet. Libraries, like librarians, we love you. You're amazing. Did I say libraries? I meant librarians.
And we love the edifices in which they conduct their business as well. So
totally.
Themselves.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But, like, so the issue is, like, here's the deal. You have all these universities that have, for the most part, a limited amount of funds, and they're being cut every single year. We're seeing this at OU. So I think now OU receives like 9% support from the state government. It's diminished down to like nothing. I mean, comparison to like how much they were supported in the 80s, for instance. We can get into reasons why, and then you have universities like, let's take, Yale or Brown or something.
Right.
And their endowment is, who knows, $32 billion in the billions or whatever. I just made up a number. I'm sorry. You can go check this on Wikipedia. But you can imagine that, like, for the best scholars that need to do their lit reviews and their research, but they have access to all the journals that they need access to. And, like, there are other ways to get around that at the university. And it's a little bit cumbersome to get articles from journals that they don't subscribe to. But, when it's easier and more accessible, you save more time and you could buy the equipment you need to do the research that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So how do you end up competing with, like, researchers at top universities? It's like the system of the 1% in the universities as well. It's becoming a corporatocracy there too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I do miss teaching at OU. That was my favorite thing to do. I ended up leaving OU on my own accord because I realized that the research that I was doing, I wanted to have an impact in a way that my research just couldn't. Okay. And so I thought I had really awesome research ideas and put together like an open educational research database, all that stuff. But after the election, election,
I need to ask which one we need to clear.
I realized it was just I wanted to take my research base, my research knowledge, and apply it to something that needs to be done here, which is messaging for progressives and on the left, because a lot of times, like, we don't have a message because we're constantly playing defense. It's really problematic.
Right. So that's what I heard whenever you're talking to the Let's Fix This guys, and you mentioned George Lakoff right there.
Yeah.
I see The Political Mind, which that's actually the book that I wanted to get, but through the library, the aforementioned Metropolitan Library, I got Whose Freedom, which was written during the Bush administration. But
people don't even know him. They don't know he's been writing books for this long on this stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was crazy, and I was really struck by the concept. Particularly, that book has to do with like how the right, which has been a well-organized messaging machine for about 30 years.
More.
Yeah.
Yes, since the early 70s, when they whole kind of like got their start with the infamous Powell memo.
Yeah. And how they've sort of commandeered and just really owned and better defined the concept of freedom based off of one particular definition of freedom, while neglecting the others and basically like leaving liberals with their pants down and as you say, playing defense the entire time. Yeah. So what do you do as a messaging and brand consultant then?
So this is really funny because when people say branding or thinking of a brand, we immediately think of companies or corporations, for instance. But we have to expand that notion of what a brand is and, to your identity. So for my candidates, for instance, we do what is considered branding, because when you get out there, there's one thing to have name ID, but the next step is like, well, what are people going to associate with you? What are the 4 or 5 max key values phrases that they're going to associate with Riley, the politician who's running for whatever, city council or something.
Right.
We need to be able to boil it down. So there's an immediate association with your face, your name, and what you stand for. Mm-hmm. And people have short attention spans, and attention is currency these days. Mm-hmm. And especially an election year like this one, there are so many elections. Obviously, it's hard to keep up. People don't even know what their House district is, right? Or what congressional district they live in. Yeah. It's a lot of information.
Yeah, it's a ton.
So we want to. So what I do, I don't know why I'm using the royal we, but
it's a team. Well, if someone takes you on, you and your client are a team.
That's right.
So there you go.
Yes, totally. So what I strive to do with my clients and my candidates is really end up hearing the story of their life and what brought them to the point where they decided to file for office, and really distilling and extracting and synthesizing what they're telling me into the values that really shaped who they are. And we all have values, just like we all have culture. Sure. Because culture is man-made. Mm-hmm. So everyone, for a long time, it just really got under my skin when people are like, Americans, they don't have any culture. It's just hamburgers.
Right.
And French fries.
We can tell you've been over to Italy. And
but
France a lot.
But they're talking about history, that we don't have a big history. We have, this, whatever you want to call it, melting pot, blah, blah, blah. Correct. And there's and it actually is kind of a bit of a racist idea, depending on who you're speaking to, that your culture is the purer culture.
I mean, we said the same thing about indigenous people.
Yeah. And as if there was only one type of pasta and one type of pizza that never changed over the last 300 years. Yeah. So anyway, so getting away from those sorts of narratives or like myths of a monolithic, static idea of culture and the practices and products and behaviors and perspectives of a particular culture, because we're always changing every single day. So libraries.
I think that's where we took it down there.
Yeah. Okay. So messaging, right? Yeah. So getting into branding and talking about your values. So many people that I've worked with and talked to and talks and seminars and workshops and that sort of thing, they aren't able to identify what their values are. Right. And you have to, it takes work. And I'm not talking about, like, I had a workshop, like a 2-hour workshop back in August at the Paramount Room. And we have a quick version of this that we do. But this is something that, it really takes like a couple of weeks at the very least to understand where your values lie and what they are and what are some of the really hardcore ones and how they're related to more of like the softer values, and how they interplay and how they interact with one another. And the way you have to do it is really just seeing, doing a little bit of reflection on your everyday life and the decisions that you make, the reactions that you have, especially when there are situations of friction with you, colleagues, coworkers, whatever, or mom, I don't know. And then, trying to identify where there was a misalignment of values, for instance. Because a lot of times in miscommunication where there's some kind of friction, it's because there's a misalignment of values underneath it all. And this is really all sort of unconscious. Yeah. Because we know where our values are, but a lot of us are unable to really articulate them. Sure. That's a really big part of what I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks.
I mean, I think that has to do, I think that's, that sort of self-discovery, I'm a big fan of, like, professionally and personally, whether it's like, it could be Myers-Briggs, it could be Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence.
Know thyself.
It could be, just anything that helps you know thyself. And then Madison Schultz, previous guest, is a big fan of Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and like finding your why, right? Mm-hmm. And this idea of like trying to, find why you do things. And
that's a good technique.
So particularly it's women candidates that you're working with. Is that right? Or are you branching out to
I've worked
candidates?
With a whole bunch of women candidates in the beginning when I was offering pro bono services.
Yeah.
So I made a Facebook post saying, hey, if you're a woman and you're a progressive woman candidate running for office, I will work with you for free. And so I had a whole bunch of women reach out and work with them. And in June, I was hired onto the Mark Miles for Attorney General campaign.
Yeah.
So he's a Democratic nominee.
Right.
He didn't have a primary. And so I've been working full-time as communications director, press sec, oppo research.
Oh, wow.
For that campaign. I've had a few little projects here and there with other candidates and some small to medium-sized businesses. Mm-hmm. But as anyone knows, man, when you're on a campaign and having one role is a lot. So just doing a lot of press and media stuff and getting the word out about Mark. There's a lot of people who still don't know.
Right. No, I mean, I think Drummond and Hunter took all the I don't know, press or whatever.
It's true.
And they
it's
had
true.
a big primary too. Prior to that,
Huge.
That was just a runoff.
They were so close. It came down to 271 votes, and there was a lot of press and media paying attention to them for various reasons, but also because they pumped in so much of their own money, raised millions of dollars, and unfortunately, in Oklahoma, for the most part, I mean, on the left, they just don't have that kind of money to be spending. So, it's a really exciting time, obviously, to be in Oklahoma. People talk about a blue wave, but as one of my colleagues said, I'm going to be frank, I think it's more of a blue splash.
Right.
But I think if we can ride this little whatever, little wave, we can have a lot of momentum, but it's going to take a lot of work in the infrastructure of the state party, for instance, working on their branding and messaging and things like that. So there's some cool things going on, and I'm happy to be part of people kind of waking up. I think that one of the things that really struck me as strange and interesting in Oklahoma was more of this culture of so I lived in Wisconsin, Alabama, I lived in Germany, Italy, and obviously New Jersey. And when I got to to Oklahoma, I just felt that there was this sort of a culture of like resignation and complacency. Yeah, sure. And I just didn't get it. I have a whole pet theory about it that I've talked to so many people about, but and I'm glad to see that people are ready to fight. And I hope that, in terms of the primary, we saw a really great turnout. Yeah. And I hope that we'll also see wonderful turnout despite, after miracle marijuana passed. And right. That's what I'm hoping for. And to be able to, you really do have to surf this wave and continue. You can't, after the election's over, there's so much work to be done still. Absolutely. And that's what people don't realize. So my website is politicalmessaging.co, and yes, I'm a political consultant, but I really take to heart the slogan or motto of second wave feminism, which is the personal is political, and that politics is all around us. Mm-hmm. It's in everything. It's like, I like to say it's, it's within and without, even in the company we keep and in our behaviors and our actions, and so an easy thing to help people understand what I mean is, you're just walking down the street and you see someone that's dressed a certain way. Like right now you have like a really, you have a nice shirt on and a tie and cool sunglasses and dress shoes and everything. And you're a white dude. And unconsciously, we immediately, because we're human, we're programmed this way, we immediately bin you. We're like, okay, white guy, probably middle class, has some money because he's wearing nice shoes. Oh, look, he's got a watch on, so he can afford that. Right. You're looking at the car that you drive, like, okay, he must be doing well or whatever. Yeah. So you already have all these unconscious preconceptions about the people that you've never even talked to in your life, and it runs all down race, class, absolutely, gender, absolutely, whatever lines. Yeah. That's all politics, because you're making all these value judgments and making all these just decisions based purely on someone's appearance or how they talk to you or whatever. So in getting people to understand all these processes of differentiation, whereas you also define who you are and your identity by othering. So I am because I am this way because that person's that way, or like, so is this really,
I am me because I'm not part of that group.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and so another professor of mine said to us once, and it was like his thing, he said all semester, and in Italian actually, but he would say, in every presence there is absence. In every presence there is absence. And that's so true. Right. Yeah. So I'm this way because I'm not this way.
Right. You
can define yourself by the opposite.
I like that expression.
Thanks.
I'm gonna use that. I can't steal it, but whoever Daniela's Italian professor was that said, in every presence there is absence. It's really good. Well, hey, this was good for me. I feel like I could go on about both politics and linguistics.
Totally.
I did have a question about making the transition from academia to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You've got a social media presence, 2 Instagram accounts, but people can follow you on political messaging.
Thank you. Yes.
But you got to be involved with like social activities, like big time, like, I don't know necessarily chambers of commerce, but that's part of it. But you mentioned the ambassador meeting. You've got to really get out there. Whereas as a research person, you don't necessarily have to. Like, you're not reliant upon it. Whereas that's just it. If you're an extrovert, cool, because you were probably already doing those activities anyway, but you weren't necessarily reliant upon it. So has there been a big psychological transition there to have to do that?
I think so. I am very extroverted, and it's funny because we talked about the Myers-Briggs, so like that. I went through the OU Leadership Academy, and they do like extensive assessments on your personality traits, your values, your motives.
Strengths Finder.
Yes, like the full Myers-Briggs, like 25 pages, single space.
Right.
And so this is really hilarious because, like, I think I had mentioned this in another podcast. Like, I would have been a sociopath if my altruism wasn't like off the charts, which led me to what I do currently. But so I've been going to different campaign events with my candidate. I am totally out there. Yeah. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of like social stuff with my friends because I try to get to yoga.
Sure.
To get zen, and a lot of my friends go to yoga, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But right now it's just high campaign season and trying to show up. But I really do think, and this is something I've always told my students, I'm like, you guys, the jobs are not on LinkedIn. They're not on Monster.com. Who's ever gotten a job on Monster? Seriously. It's like, you have to show up.
Yeah.
That is like half the work, and you never know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, your network is your net worth, whoever said that. Yeah. You never know what just getting out there and meeting someone, what opportunities will come your way. That's how I met Mark Miles. I was at the Planned Parenthood message training at the library.
Nice.
Yes, and he was seated right behind me, and he gave me his card, and that's how I got in his campaign.
Wow.
So y'all get off your phones, show up, just go places, do things.
Get in there.
Get involved. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an activist. Do what you're comfortable doing, but like show up and you have to be a little bit vulnerable to do that.
And it's weird because I feel like those are all the things that make a good community too. Like you have to be intentional about getting out there. And then for those of you that are introverts, like you can make time to go in your hole under your blanket to like get your energy back.
Right.
Restore.
Yeah. Collectivism is not enough. You need to get out there, get your shit together because we need you, like all you younger folks too, especially like older folks. They're getting out there. Like they're the ones coming to, like I was just at the Cleveland County Democratic women. They're all like women in their 60s and 70s running this shit,
There's a chili cook-off coming up from the Oklahoma Institute for Child Advocacy.
I did not know about
They have like a bipartisan chili cook-off every year.
Do they have veggie chili?
I'm sure someone does. There's probably some Democrats there.
Let me just make it.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. I just want to say this. If shit doesn't exist, then you fucking make it.
There you go.
Especially in Oklahoma. Like, for example, like earlier this year, I had this whole list of shit that I was going to do because I just wanted to do a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And so one of them was like, I want to do a comedy stand-up routine. And I was like, I'm going to do, all right. oh, okay, I'll go to open mic. And then I was like, I'm not going to no damn open mic or like men could heckle me. I'm going to throw the whole thing myself, and it's going to be an all-women open mic on International Women's Day. And it's going to be a fundraiser for a women's shelter, and it was all of those things, and it was amazing. So just like do it yourself.
Wow.
DIY your life. Boom.
You guys can't see it, but we bump fists. Man, that's all right. Let's end off here on a high energy. What's your morning routine like? These are my final 5 questions, by the way.
Oh,
Everybody
great.
gets
Yes,
this.
yes. It's slow. I love the ritual of just sipping coffee slowly over about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And on my best days, I'm actually doing a little bit of reading, a little bit of journaling. It could be the Oklahoma Gazette. It could be like a more theoretical book that I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yes. And listening to music for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get into music in a second.
Slow mornings.
What's your evening routine like?
Trying to avoid Seinfeld. I just love Seinfeld so much.
Can you get sucked in a hole then?
Yeah, I'll go on a sign. Yeah. My ideal evenings would be winding down with music and again doing a little bit of reading. Mm-hmm. But more often than not, I am, and this is not a bad thing, I am usually on the phone talking to friends and catching up. Yeah. And falling into a Seinfeld hole.
Okay.
Yep.
It's hard to nail down to one. Do you have a favorite book or a couple favorite books?
Okay.
One fiction, one nonfiction?
Man, this is a really hard one. I'm just going to say one of my favorite books from recent time, like the last, 5 years. Vagina, a New Biography by Naomi Wolf.
Okay. I've heard the name Naomi Wolf, but I don't know that book.
So highly researched about women's anatomy.
Okay.
And lady junk and how it relates to our consciousness.
Interesting.
So cool.
So vagina what?
Vagina, colon.
You lost me after vagina and colon. That's interesting.
Vagina, a New Biography by Naomi Wolf.
Okay. Who's your favorite musical artist? You can't say Bon Jovi.
Almond Dixon.
Almond Dixon?
No, I used to be a DJ in a past life, and I am a super, when you came into my apartment, I had house music going.
Yeah.
So Almond Dixon, they're a German outfit. It's 3 different guys really.
Right on.
Usually it's 2 different guys, but they play minimal German techno.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with all the different types of techno that are out there. However, I do think... Did they win a Grammy this year?
Probably not. No one knows about them.
All right. I've gotten really into Sylvan Esso the past couple of years.
Sylvan's good. Good.
They're great, but they were... they lost to some triplet, some Western European band that's been doing it since the 80s.
Wow. Interesting. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm curious. But all the people I love, they're way too underground. Do you want to hear, by the way, can I just say what my tombstone is going to say?
Yeah, I did.
I just came up with it today.
Yeah, okay.
So the music I love is underground, I used to be DJ, I love dancing, all that stuff. So I thought my tombstone is going to say, underground will live forever, baby. I'll see you at the after party.
I like that. That would be fantastic.
Thank you.
People would come by that tombstone and be like, "This is pretty cool." Let's
She's still rocking.
Put one extra flower right here. And where's your favorite spot in Oklahoma?
Probably the Pump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I live 3 blocks away, and I just love the vibe there. Totally.
I think this whole scene has got a cool vibe. I used to play in a band just down the street at the Blue Note, and there's not. We had people get their cars broken into. This was during the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Stuff. It was a real shithole. But yeah, this whole 23rd Street corridor is the best.
We're vibing, dude. It's a great area.
Yeah, I spent one night at the Pump. After, so I did what do you call it? An Ignite talk.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there for that?
I was not.
Oh, it was cool.
Was it with Meredith?
Yeah, it was with Meredith. Yeah.
And my neighbor, Allie, who was also a speaker that night, literally across the hall.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's another messaging person. You guys could have some real powwows here.
Totally.
This is a powerful group of women that you run in.
Seriously.
So.
Yeah. There's amazing women in this city, and I felt very supported by the women here. So Rock on, OKC ladies.
All right. Daniela, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Are you watching a movie?
No, I'm gonna watch Ken Burns.
It's not really good.
You don't think Ken Burns is good?
I don't want to watch Ken Burns. You can't watch Ken Burns.
So Daniela, we wish you all the success as you return to your homeland, La Matria, there in New Jersey, and you continue to grow your career up and down the East Coast. I appreciate the work you did while you were here in Oklahoma, and I think a lot of people do. I was actually talking to someone new at a party this weekend, praising Daniela and the work that she did, and so that's pretty cool. And to you, the listener, I appreciate you taking the time to listen. There are so many things vying for your attention these days, and I'm really thankful that you push play on this. Please go to roastscout.com/yallok and sign up for some coffee. If you can muster a thumbs up, then give our podcast page a like on Facebook or follow me on Instagram at r_e_ross. And if you feel like giving this podcast a 5-star review, I'd appreciate that. Listen, you can follow Daniela if you're interested in what she's doing on Instagram at political messaging, all one word, or you can check her webpage, which is politicalmessaging.co, and she just put like a free guide to like framing your messaging, and recently started a what you call it a newsletter. Oh my gosh. Can't believe I forgot what a newsletter is called. I have one on my webpage, but it's not consistent. Anyway, by the way, that's RileyEvanRoss.com. So check her out, politicalmessaging.co. Thanks again for dropping in. Until next time, don't be a stranger.